and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Pearse McLaughlin. Hello, Pearse.
Hello, how you doing?
You doing well? On today's podcast, we will be discussing last weekend's Scotland result against Holland, and we will also be discussing and previewing Scotland's upcoming match against Northern Ireland. And Pearse will also give a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So we'll start off with the Scotland match against Holland, which was played on Friday, the 22nd of March. And the result finished Holland 4, Scotland 0. So this was an international friendly. The match was played in Amsterdam, the Amsterdam Arena. In Scotland, they came out of that match with a 4-0 defeat. So, what do you think, Pearse, of the result? And what did you think? How do you think Scotland performed?
I thought Scotland performed pretty admirably. Thought for large spells, I would say for at least the best part of an hour of the game, I thought Scotland created the best opportunities, dictated quite a lot of the play. And that was against a very strong Dutch side. But as soon as that, obviously, we conceded an early goal, which is a pretty really good strike from Reinders, the midfielder from AC Milan. But you didn't really feel too phased. But I think once that second goal went in from Holland, um, it just kind of the bubble kind of burst a little bit, and Scotland came in back into old habits, and the scoreline doesn't reflect the state of play. But a 4-0 defeat is a 4-0 defeat regardless on paper. And this is a learning experience for this Scotland group. And like we touched on it in the preview last week, you're going to be playing the top quarter position in Germany in the opening day of the Euros in the summer. So this calibre opposition is what we need, because you need to see which level we are in terms of the elite level international teams. And we came up short, but there can be a lot of positives to be taken from the match.
Yeah. Obviously, I watched the match, and for 60, 70 minutes of the match, before Scotland was their side, I thought they were 1-0 down. Holland scored a goal in the first half, and to be fair, it was a great goal, it was a great strike. But although they were 1-0 down for in for 60, 70 minutes of the match, they were really good. They competed really well. They kept the ball really well, created so many chances. I mean, they hit the crossbar twice. Ryan Christie in the first half, and then Lawrence Shankly, who had the best chance for Scotland in the match, was through 1-on-1 with the keeper. And for someone that scored 20 plus goals this season, you would bet your house that he would slot that into the back of the net, and he didn't. So for 60, 70 minutes of the match, they were really good. And then they conceded the second goal, which was harsh on them. But the really disappointing thing was, after they conceded the second goal, was the way they reacted to it. It kind of sort of just opened up, and Holland could have scored at least 4 more goals or something in the last 20 minutes of that match, which for me was quite a worry, because um, these sides, these top sides, have the capability to kind of score if you give them space and time. They can hurt you. Um, and yeah, we ended up conceding 3 goals in the last 20 minutes of that match, which was really, really disappointing. And people will look at that match now and say, "Oh, Scotland were, you know, comfortably beat," and they weren't comfortably beat. But it's not looked like that now, because they conceded 4 goals. I was going to ask you this as well, Pearse. Um, that's now 18 goals in 6 games that Scotland have conceded. Is that a worry for Steve Clarke?
It's got to be addressed, I think. If you look at that back line, you've got Tierney, you've got Robertson there, so that's your two main men at the back. You've got
Sorry,
Jack.
Pearse. I was going to ask you, like, you're just going to go through the back line there. What do you think is the strongest back five, would you say? Because we also play that 5-3-2 system. So what do you say? What would you say the strongest back five is?
I don't think Patterson is in that back five. I think, like you say, Robertson, Tierney, that's you're nailed on. I think Porteous and Patterson don't make it. I think Hendry is potentially in there. I think Grant Hanley is a big miss because he's like a leader back there. And then obviously Aaron Hickey, who has had his injury issues, which you touched on last week. He's been out since October, so the quicker we have him back, the better. But Patterson's not really a lesser option. He's still a quality player, but he's just not at the same level as Aaron Hickey, in my opinion. And Ryan Porter's playing the Championship. He's done okay on occasion for Scotland, but it wasn't his better performances. And Jack Hendry's got experience of playing in the Champions League and stuff like that with Celtic and for Club Brugge, and now playing in Saudi Arabia. So no, I think that's the back five I would go for. Robertson, Tierney, Grant Hanley, Jack Hendry, and Aaron Hickey. What about yourself, Tom?
No, that's a back five for me as well. You know, to be fair, I think that's always been the strongest back five, but like, there's been a few questions as to whether you can put Porteous in it, you can put Patterson in it, but you know, I've always thought that was the strongest back five. You know, people have always kind of had their question marks over Grant Hanley, but as you said, he is sort of a leader in that back five. You know, he's quite a, you know, he's captain Norwich as well. He's been there for a number of years. He's captain Norwich for a number of years, so he is. For me, he gets into that squad when he's fully fit. You know, he's had his injury issues this season as well, and he's only just come back from injury. He pulled out of this camp. He was actually supposed to return, but he pulled out. But that for me is the strongest back five. But going back to the original question I asked, so that's 18 goals in 6 games. So what do you think Steve Clarke has to do? What do you think the issue is there? Why do you think we conceding too many goals? Or what do you think?
Maybe just the calibre of opposition we're playing against, but also you've got to look at the manner of which we're conceding the goals. Like you touched on, the first goal you couldn't do anything about it in Holland, and then the second one, but it's the reaction from the second one where we concede so quickly after, we down tools, we switch off, we make needless mistakes, we feel sorry for ourselves, and you can't do that against top opposition. And then you've got to be resolute from set pieces, be able to defend your box, let crosses, stop crosses coming in, and when they do come in, defend your box well, and just react quickest to second balls, first balls. So I just think he just needs to get back to basics in terms of going to training pitch, and just try to get back to the clean sheets, because Scotland at the start of the qualifying campaign for the Euros were resolute, conceded 1 goal in like 5 games, and that was for a Haaland penalty. So to get back to basics again, I'm sure Steve Clarke can turn it around. But obviously having your 11 starters there also helps. I think a big miss is obviously, like you said, we never did Lyndon Dykes or Shea Adams in the starting lineup. I think they also help defensively, because it helps you defend from the front, helps you get up the park. And I think Shankland, although he's a natural goal scorer, he's not a Lyndon Dykes where he can hold up the ball, he can bully defenders on his own. So I think a combination of a lot of things, but I think just get back to basics, and hopefully get a full strength team. But I wouldn't be too worried in Steve Clarke, we trust.
Yeah, I would say it's a bit of a worry for me, because, you know, we're now getting into a Euro Championship in a couple of months' time, and the fact that we've conceded that many goals in 6 games, you know, that's a lot of goals to concede in that amount of games. It is a worry for me. I know we've played England, France, Holland, and Spain, and they are tough games. I know that, but you know, that's we keep going, we keep kind of saying the same thing, but that's the level of teams we're going to be playing against at the Euros. For example, first game is the tournament, we're going to play in Germany, who are at that level. So there's definitely got to be something fixed. For me, like, you know, I remember there was a match when Scotland played Russia and they got beat 4-0. And it was quite a bad time at that point with the national team. You know, we were really in bad form. You know, you know, it was a really bad time. And Steve Clarke changed it, and he made the team more solid. And it was quite boring to watch for a while. You know, there wasn't really much action, but he kind of we stopped conceding goals, and then because of that, we went on this big massive run. We've qualified we qualified for Euro in that time. We went on a big massive long run, and I think that's what's gonna have to happen now. I think Steve Clarke's tried to kind of make the team more expansive, try and be more on the front foot, which is good, and it shows that you're progressing as a team. But I think at the moment, I think they've kind of got to go back to basics in terms of concentrating defensively first, and kind of just leave the attacking side at the moment, and because we can't go into these Euros conceding a lot of goals and not in the best of form, because if that happens, then we're kind of quickly going to be, before we know it, we're going to be out the tournament, and we kind of don't want, well, me and you don't want that to happen, obviously, and the whole nation doesn't want that to happen. So for me, the best way to fix this is to kind of go back to what Steve Clarke did a few years ago, where he just decided to make the team solid and sort of build its way up to start scoring goals, and leave the kind of attacking side for the moment and just concentrate defensively. That's what I think they should do at the moment. But yeah, it was disappointing on Friday. It was tough on the team, I thought, because I thought they played really well. And I don't think they deserve to get beat 4-0, but that is a harsh reality of it. So, but it's only just a friendly as well, so there's not too much to worry about. Scotland have got another international friendly, which will be played at the time of recording this. It's going to get played in a few hours. So that match will be against Northern Ireland. The match will be played at Scotland's home ground at Hampden Park. So Northern Ireland not on the level of Holland, but it's kind of like a little bit of a Battle Britain kind of match. So yeah, Pearse, what do you think about that upcoming match?
I think it's probably the perfect match. After a top quality opposition like Holland, and you expect maybe a few changes from the side. In terms of for Scotland, I think maybe change, maybe like one or two at the back five. Maybe Ryan Christie might drop out. Feel like probably something like Kenny McLean or Stuart Armstrong. And maybe Shankland might get dropped for his big miss. We never know. But no, I think in terms of Northern Ireland, like you said, they're not on the same level as Holland. Still a pretty decent opposition in terms of international football, and obviously, like you say, it's a home nation, so a little bit added spice into that match. There always is when you play either Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, Wales, or England. So no, I think it'll be a really good match, and I expect Scotland to win. Maybe a 1-0 win would be brilliant, although maybe not brilliant for the Scottish fans. But a clean sheet, like you say, we've averaged conceding 3 goals in the last 6 games, so that's not good enough. So we need to get back to basics. Hopefully, we can get back to winning ways, stop that little mini rot, and get some positive building into the June friendlies.
Yeah. Not I agree with you. I think this is a really good match for Scotland to play. Just after that disappointing match on Friday, obviously back at Hampden Park, against the Northern Ireland team who, they're not going to the next Euros, but when you look at their team, it's quite a young team. They've got Connor Bradley at Liverpool, who's really young, but he's a really promising player. He's kind of broke into this Liverpool team this season, and he's performed really well. So they look like a team that are progressing, and they're trying to build a new team, Northern Ireland. So for Scotland, it's going to be a tough match. But for Scotland, in terms of Scotland's point of view, for me, I know it's only a friendly, but for me, I think it's a must-win tonight for Scotland, because obviously they've been on that winless run. And I think also the important thing is to keep a clean sheet tonight as well, because we just discussed obviously the amount of goals they've conceded. But I do agree with you as well. I do expect Scotland to make a few changes to the team. I think he actually will keep Shankland up front, because in my opinion, I actually thought Shankland played well on Friday against Holland. I thought he kind of did all the good. He did some good stuff, kind of holding the ball in. He should have scored. But I thought he did well. But I expect to see changes as in defensively. I expect to see maybe a couple of changes there. Maybe Patterson might come out of the team. I know Hickey's not there at the moment, but maybe Ralston might get a game. I expect maybe to see something in midfield. Maybe Ken McLean might start ahead of Billy Gilmore as Scott McTominay. I'm not really sure, but I do expect a Scotland win tonight. And kind of hoping to see, well, not hope to see a clean sheet, but it'd be really good to see a clean sheet because the amount of goals that they're conceding at the moment. But yeah, I think it's quite important for Scotland to win this match tonight. And yeah, that's the kind of, and then after this match, we'll be back into league action. The run-in will be happening. I'll just ask you, Pearse, about it. Are you excited for? Obviously, we've got a title race in Scotland and we've got a title race in England, which is really tight. So, what's your thoughts about it? Are you excited to see what happens in the next few weeks?
Yeah, obviously very exciting in terms of the English Premier League. It's like only a couple of points between a few teams: Liverpool, Arsenal, and Manchester City. And then obviously in Scotland, we've got 2 games before the split. And then obviously, like you say, that's only separated by a couple of points as well. And obviously Rangers get that game in hand. We're at post the postponed fixture against Dundee, which we played directly after the Celtic Rangers game, which is in a couple of weeks' time. So exciting times ahead in terms of the run-in for both the English and the Scottish Premiership. I'm looking forward to it. But for me, it's too close to calling it either league. But I think as a neutral and as a fan of football, it's going to be really exciting. It's going to go right down to the wire, and that's what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it as well. I don't really like this. I mean, I like watching Scotland, the national team, but I don't really like this international break, in my opinion, because it's just friendlies. There's no real competitive edge to it, and I don't really think. I mean, I don't know. The players would never. I don't think the players would be honest with this, but I kind of think that a lot of the players, 70% of their minds on their club during this international break rather than the national team because these games don't really mean a lot during the national break. So I think at this moment in time, the club football is more important, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Obviously, we've got 2 title races in England and Scotland, obviously between Celtic and Rangers and Arsenal, Man City, and Liverpool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to jumping on the podcast and reacting to the weekend's results and obviously seeing what's happening. And then after that, we'll have the Euros, which what we'll obviously discuss more in more depth. But yeah, looking forward to this international break being over and returning to the league action. So we'll now move on to the final part of the show, and with Pearse giving his latest Asian football news.
Yeah, so we had obviously international friendlies as well. No, international World Cup qualifiers, sorry. For Japan and South Korea. So on Thursday, 21st of March, in Tokyo, the Japan National Stadium, Japan beat North Korea 1-0 through an Ao Tanaka goal in the second minute. And that was enough for a narrow, slender lead over North Korea. And they were meant to play today, earlier today, against North Korea in Pyongyang. But the North Korea FA announced that it cannot host the second leg of the FIFA World Cup 2026 qualifier in Pyongyang. The matter was referred to the Bureau for the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. In the absence of an alternative home venue confirmed by the North Korean FA and the lack of space in the calendar to postpone this game, the Bureau have decided that the qualifying fixture shall neither be replayed or rescheduled. In addition, the matter and match outcome will be referred to the FIFA Disciplinary Committee. North Korea may be penalised with a 3-0 forfeit for the cancellation, but we'll have to wait and see the outcome from FIFA. So what's your take on that then, Tom, in terms of North Korea just postponing a fixture for the second leg?
It's quite unexpected, isn't it? I don't know if I don't know the details about it, but I don't maybe it could be government related. I don't know. Maybe it's come from higher up that this match is being postponed. But it's a shame because obviously football over there is really, really, really big, and you don't want to see these kind of big matches as well. The fact it's the second, you said it's the second leg.
Second leg, yeah, and obviously
Yeah,
the first leg was only a 1-0 narrow defeat, so there was all to play for in North Korea, but it was just cancelled last minute.
yeah, no. So that's what I'm saying. So obviously, the fact it's the second leg as well, 1-0, very narrow, narrow match. You don't kind of want to see these matches postponed, especially at the last minute. It's so strange, but we all know that the kind of situation in North Korea, things are really controlled over there. So I wouldn't be surprised if something was kind of said from people higher up, maybe in at the very highest level. I wouldn't be surprised. So yes, obviously disappointed to see that, but hopefully the match kind of gets rescheduled very soon and it can get played because it sounds like it's going to be a really really good second leg.
Yeah, so obviously we obviously South Korea as well, so they played their first leg last Thursday as well at the Seoul World Cup Stadium, and that was a 1-1 draw. So Son scored the first goal under caretaker managers Hwang's reign, but obviously conceded a goal through Moenta with half an hour to go, and it was the tie was on the knife edge, and the second leg is just finished as the time of recording it. So South Korea have went away to the Rajamangala National Stadium in Bangkok, Thailand, and they've registered a 3-0 victory. Lee Jae-sung, Son Heung-min, again the captain, and Park Jin-sob, all scoring to have a comfortable 4-2 victory in the end in aggregate scoreline, and it progressed to the next round in terms of the World Cup qualifiers. So Spain and Barcelona legend Andres Iniesta has been accused of tax evasion by the Japanese authorities. The iconic midfielder 39 spent 5 years playing in Japan with Vissel Kobe between 2018 and 2023. He broke down in tears last summer after his final appearance for the club, but now it's off the field matters that are making headlines. So Japanese tax authorities are demanding 580 million Japanese yen, which is around £3 million, as they allege he did not properly declare his income during his time in the country. Iniesta has called for respect and caution surrounding the allegations. He also insists he has already settled the debt from a 2021-22 investigation that found he was a Japanese resident for part of 2018. Iniesta also claimed he had been the subject of obvious and burdensome double taxation. World Cup winner Iniesta is one of three foreign footballers that played in Japan who are the subject of accusations from the Japanese tax agency. Another of the players, South Korean goalkeeper Kim Jun-Hyun, 36, who is accused of owing around £3.62 million. And the final one is Brazilian forward Anderson Patrick Aguilar Oliveira, also known as Patrick, accused of paying around £3.1 million. So the three are all facing allegations of not complying with their tax obligations. The authorities consider Iniesta to have been a Japanese resident throughout his time playing for Vissel Kobe, where he lived with his family. Iniesta won 9 La Liga titles and 4 Champions Leagues with Barcelona, and he looks set to retire after leaving Vissel Kobe last summer. But he then ended up signing for United Arab Emirates side Emirates FC in August, and has played 13 games for the club, scoring 2 goals. Iniesta, who is just 7 weeks away from his 40th birthday, earned the last of 131 Spain caps in 2018, having won 2 European Championships and the 2010 World Cup. So Son Jun-Ho has been released from the Chinese prison and is now back in South Korea. Son Jun-Ho has been unexpectedly released after completing his trial and subsequently boarded a flight back to Korea, which arrived on Monday, the 25th of March. So Son Jun-Ho's health is reported to be in good condition, having been detained since the 12th of May 2023, following investigation by Chinese authorities. The arrest of the active national team player sent shockwaves through the football community. prompting inquiries from the KFA to the CFA, so the Chinese Football Association, and also the Korean Football Association, and also the Asian Football Confederation, or also known as the AFC. However, despite urgent efforts, there was little progress, leaving both Son Jun-Ho and the consulate with limited information. The situation took a positive turn in March, and with the conclusion of the trial, Son Jun-Ho has finally regained his freedom and is intending to undergo psychological evaluation before resuming his career. Son Jun-Ho, a midfielder representing South Korea, began his professional career with Pohang Steelers back in 2014, won a gold medal at the 2014 Incheon Asian Games, and was named the K-League 1 MVP in 2020. Before joining Shandong Taishan in 2021, he played a crucial role as the team's key midfielder, earning recognition as the top players in the CSL. At one point, Fulham and Southampton were keen on signing the defensive midfielder. Son Jun-Ho is now focused on quickly finding himself a club so he can return to the pitch. If Son Jun-Ho can find his feet quickly, who knows how long it will take until he is reinstated back into the international fold. With his last appearance coming on the 28th of March 2023 and a narrow 2-1 defeat to Uruguay back in Seoul. So the last time he made the squad was the 20th of June 2023 in South Korea's 1-1 draw with El Salvador, where he failed to make it off the bench. Son Jun-Ho is arguably the best holding midfielder South Korea has, but hasn't been available for selection because of this case that has now been resolved. So defensive midfielder has been a problem for South Korea in both the Asian Cup and the 2026 World Cup qualifiers so far. Regardless, his return to Korea is a welcome one, and we'll look forward to him being back on the football pitch soon. In terms of his next move, it remains to be seen if he could go back to his previous employers, either Pohang Steelers or Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors. Regardless, Football Chuggu has got you covered, as we'll let you know when Son Jun-Ho reveals his next club here in South Korea, where he'll be plying his trade in the K-League 1 very soon. And that's all your latest Asian football news.
Thank you, Pearse. And thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Bye-bye.